contested in our community. I would respectfully ask for a little more than the 3 minutes because what I wanted to do was highlight some of the letter that I wrote to the school board members, but I'm sure the public hasn't had the benefit of that letter and would like that opportunity. On behalf of Alparon Park, I offer you this letter in response to the current lease in the park, with the park and the recent newspaper articles appearing in the Daily Review. Alparon Park had no interest or desire in using the media to debate the school's issues with our proposed lease. We would have preferred to have done this more in a private workshop setting, like we suggested. The purpose of my letter is to provide all the pertinent information to the board members who ultimately make the decision to renew or not renew the lease with Alparon Park. The park board feels strongly the new lease is a fair fee given that the school has paid in the past and feels the school is not taking into consideration the continued improvements and required maintenance that's necessary to run such a facility as large as Alparon Park. The lease was originally signed in 1993 and ended in December of 2013 and did not keep up with inflation over the 20-year term. For example, when the original lease was signed, Alparon Community Park did not have a single paid employee, as most of that work was done by volunteers. Today we now have 4 part-time employees to perform the needed maintenance and conduct the park's business. The proposed lease fee of $15,000 was designed to help get the park back to par with inflation and maintenance costs. I've included in your letter that I wrote to you folks some other points that I want to cover as well about Alparon Park that probably most of the public doesn't know, and we understand the school board membership turns over with time. It's an elected position. From a financial standpoint, Alparon Community Park is a nonprofit corporation per the IRS. We operate 7 months a year, and we have a budget of about $200,000. Our sources of income include volunteer-run events such as the Troy Fair, the Maple Festival, the Gas Expo, as well as lease and fee incomes for the park's facilities. We've benefited greatly in the last several years from the natural gas industry. This additional income has allowed us to do some long overdue capital improvements and some large dollar maintenance projects. And if you're down at the park, you'll actually see the results of some of those projects. We certainly do not pretend to understand all the school budget challenges that you folks face, but we know our budget and we know our future income concerns. We continue to believe the proposed lease was of $15,000 was a fair price for the facilities. And we also, under Troy area school districts, can budget this expense with no unforeseen surprises. In other words, you know what you're getting for your money. You're not going to get a surprise at the end of the season. The park and the school have worked very successfully together very well in the past, and we'd like that to continue. It's not in the best interest of the school, the park, the community, to have this football season played away from any place other than the Troy area. When I wrote you this letter, I did not know that on March 11th of 2013, the Blossburg Borough entered into such a very similar agreement with the Southern Tioga School District. And as it turns out, it was a 5-year lease, which is what we proposed to the school. And it was $15,000 a year, very, very similar. I sat down with the gentleman who crafted this lease, and when I got done, I can tell you that the 2 leases are far more similar than they're different. And actually, I think the lease is actually more favorable to the Troy area school district than the one between Blossburg was with Southern Tioga. Since I think really education is probably one of the reasons that we've come to this disagreement over fees, I just don't think people understand what the park is all about and some of the history of it. And with that in mind, the purpose of my next several statements are going to be to point out the history and the ownership of the park, the financial structure of the park, and the lease with the Troy area school district. Most folks in this area know the history of Alparon, with the land being purchased by the Lions Club in 1954. But few people know that the owner of the land is not Alparon Community Park, but is the Troy Borough Municipal Authority. The municipal authority leases the land of the park under a long-term lease agreement. Under this lease, we provide a recreational facility for the borough of Troy and its surrounding communities. Alparon Park is also a facility and a venue to the Troy Fair, and the purpose of this is to highlight the importance and the prominent role that agriculture plays, not only in our history and our heritage, but also in Bradford County today. Agriculture is such an important role. The financial structure of the park. When Troy Borough Municipal Authority created Alparon Park, they did not provide the park with a mechanism for generating revenue. We had to come up with that on our own. And that has taken generations to build. Alparon Park does not directly benefit from county, local, or school property tax levies. Every dollar spent at Alparon Park comes from donations, user fees, leases, and fundraisers. Alparon is managed like a business, more like a business than a government entity, because we do not have the authority to tax, to generate revenues when needed. This structure requires a great deal of discipline in deciding how to raise the revenues and how to spend the money for the people and for the good of the Troy area and our surrounding communities. The lease with Troy Area School District. It provides the grandstand structure, the bleacher seating for both the home and the visitors. The parking lots are of sufficient size to park more cars than probably any facility in the area, maybe even the county. The parking lots provide easy access to the football field for the young, the old, provides designated handicap parking for those with disabilities. The locker room and the bathroom facilities that are supplied by Alparon Park are, stocked with the papers, we clean it, and it's maintained by us. The school does not get any surprises. We're responsible to maintain all the systems associated with that structure. That includes the HVAC, the electrical, the water treatment that goes on there. The football field is the obligation of Alparon Park. It's always been mowed and irrigated by the volunteers who make it their contribution to prepare this field for the season. The park supplies the mower, we supply the fuel, we supply the infrastructure to irrigate this field. And per the lease, just to correct an inaccuracy that's out there, the seed, the fertilizer, and the lines are the responsibility of the Troy Area School District, which was pointed out earlier. Maintenance of the field lights. This is becoming a significant cost. The cost to replace and maintain any faulty bulbs or ballasts are very expensive. It requires the 125-foot lift to be brought in. It's a $1,750 charge for the very first day. So when you take the cost of the lift, the light bulbs are $50 a piece, a ballast is $125, and an electrician is about $55 an hour. To change one bulb, you're now approaching a $2,000 cost. This is on the back of the park. This is not the school district. Public address system is supplied and maintained by Alparon. The concessions kitchens under the grandstand is provided with the lease. The park has spent heavily to maintain fences, gates, gate booths so the school can collect an admission fee and minimal staffing and effort. Alparon does not receive $1 from the admission of football games. We never asked for it. It's something that's always been the school's revenue stream. Lighting is in place to illuminate the walkways, the driving lanes, so the fans attending the games can enter and exit this facility safely. The lease provides the lease provides the above facilities for all three levels of football: varsity, junior varsity, middle school. Cheerleading practices are held at the park for the entire football season, as well as band practices, and in some years we're even the host facility for the countywide marching band showcase. Alparon receives none of that gain. Keep in mind, the school asked for a 5-year lease. The Troy Area School Districts did not ask for a 5-year lease, but they wanted a 1-year lease. We offered a 5-year lease with a 1-year escape clause for them. So technically, they're only asking for a 1-year lease. Doesn't seem reasonable for 1 year, but that's what we gave them. So my comments are a summary of the facilities and the services provided under the football lease. As you consider the decision to remain at Alparon for the next few years, please take into consideration the points I bring to your attention when deciding whether these fees are fair. Lastly, in a community the size of Troy, this is a very polarizing issue, and you're going to turn neighbor against neighbor. You're causing economic hardship to some of the very businesses that support this school and park. We do not need an outside community to benefit economically from our current lease disagreement. It's my sincere hope that the Board of Directors that we find a solution to this problem. Alparon Community Parks believes it's important that the tradition of Trojan football continues at the park for many years to come. We do not think that a town this size can afford to duplicate a football field, field lights, stadium seating, fencing, and parking lots when such a facility already exists. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bauer. Before you sit down, I have a few questions for clarification, if you could. You mentioned provisions of Blossburg. Thank you for sending us that letter, and you're including that little part, because I went looking, and what I found out was that they do have a $15,000 contract, as you said, but that contract covers football, track, softball, baseball, basically anything they want to do outside, including tennis. And basically that, I understand that $15,000, that's it. There's no extra onto that. Can you
no
relate
extra
to that?
in terms of an inflation clause, you mean?
I'm saying they don't pay electricity.
They do pay electricity. The gentleman who crafted the lease told me that. Electric is an addition. Well, I can tell you I spoke with Mr. George Lloyd, who helped negotiate the lease, and he clearly confirmed for me that the electric is in addition to the lease payment.
Yeah, I know George. I was an ex-athletic director at North Penn, so I helped derive that lease as well. They do pay for 365 days a year. These are for baseball, softball, tennis, football, and track. They use it for every single practice, not just games. You're right, they do pay for electric, and the school still pays for light pay.
And, we can include all the other sports. It was the school district's decision in recent years to leave Alparon Park. And I realize that decision may not have been made by the current administration, but that decision was made to leave on some of those other sports as well. We used to have them in the park. And that's what we're trying to do, is to bring you folks back and offer the quality facility that we have.
I have two other things. You mentioned the cost of lights. How many hours does a light bulb burn?
I have no idea. I'm sorry, I can't.
I'm a math person too, so I'm thinking, well, 5 games, how long's a game? What, 5 hours, 6 hours? So that's 30 hours times 5, 150 hours. I have a hard time believing that light bulbs kind of go out in 150 hours. I don't know. So these light bulbs are being used for other activities, but
to my knowledge,
that's
Alparon Park
kind
doesn't
of
use
being
them.
lumped in as that we're burning that, and that's part of your payment that you do, but that we see without actually paying for it. But yet, I don't see that we maybe burn that much usage out of them.
To my knowledge, Alparon Park seldom lights those lights. They're pretty much the exclusive use of the school because we have other adequate lighting. We currently do have some lights bulbs that are out at the moment. That's why we happen to know what it's going to cost us to change that out. Okay, and if lighting, the cost of electric at Alparon Park is expensive. We are in a demand meter situation, and consequently, the electric company has to provide capacity for the week of the Troy Fair, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, so that 1 week the Troy Fair can be conducted. As a result, we're on demand meters, and that means we do pay a higher rate of electric.
Okay. Is there a meter for just the football field and that part of usage, or is
There is
all?
not a meter for the football field. We made a proposal to put one in on your behalf because you'd be the only folks that would require that, and I don't believe we've gotten to that point yet, as we don't have.
So that's a shared meter with the camping as well, or no?
It's a shared meter with the park. There are several meters at Alparon Park as the park has expanded over the years.
Okay. Also in your letter, I thought I saw a sentence that there was no negotiation over the rent.
I'm
Is
sorry.
that true? There's no negotiation expected? It's either 15,000 or we don't go?
I don't know if that's a
With
fair.
a 3% increase every year, so in 5 years, we'd be paying 16.3 or 16.4, something like that.
In the negotiation, in the couple of meetings that we've had, we made a proposal for a price, and when I was told that the 15,000 was unacceptable, I asked for them to make some sort of a proposal, and their proposal was no increase, so that's kind of where we're at.
Okay, so no negotiation was never said, it's this price and that's it? That's not what's in the book here?
We proposed a price, which we felt was fair, and then we later found that it was very much in line with a peer community, and the park believes that that's a fair fee for the facilities that we provide. And
So it sounds like it's no negotiation.
I don't
That's
know
the
that I would
price.
say there's no negotiation, but so far, nobody's come back with a counteroffer and said, we believe it's worth this number of dollars.
It's not 100% true. The initial proposal from the school is a 3% increase, which was agreed upon, to our knowledge. Superintendent and business manager were both there at that meeting and agreed as well. And you said that was unacceptable. So just want to clear the record.
I think you're misunderstood on that, Jay, because the park hadn't even proposed our new price at that point. I'm not sure where you're getting that number.
I have no other questions,